Very, very focused in their pregame warm-ups. And well, they should be, Coach, because they know that if they get through this game, they are really on a roll with some big momentum in the playoffs. There's the team that they are going to have to face. And Anthony Lanzera, there's their quarterback, number 12. You can just see there with the football in his hand. And he, just like J.J. Fote, is a multi-threat quarterback.
Yes, he is. He's a real fine football player. I guess he leans more to the running the football than he does throwing it, but he can throw. And they design a lot of plays just for him. So we'll see a lot of him, and we'll hear his name a lot tonight. So let's sit back and enjoy a great football game. You know, this is ideal weather, real football weather. You know, when it's 80 degrees out and 80 humidity, why, that's not football.
Yeah,
but
real men don't play football in that weather, right?
This is real football.
If we only had some rain and sleet, it'd be perfect.
Well, I wouldn't go that far.
There you see the deep man for Brunswick, Dave Pace, number 2.
You know,
Pat Carmine will be kicking it off for Whitmer.
I mentioned to one of the defensive coaches at Whitmer about being cold tonight, and he said, it's not cold.
Here's Pat Carmine with a bit of a squib kick that is picked up on the 20-yard line by Pace, dropped it, got it again, and worked his way out to the 32-yard line before he is finally braked on the play by number 62 for Whitmer, Ed Ickes. And let's take a look at the starting lineups here. First of all, look at the offensive line for Brunswick, and they've got some big boys in there who can move out the other team. Also, they've got a lot of threats. Joe Franciscangelli, number 22, he's a player we'll really be watching. He's their go-to guy on the ground. We talked about Anthony Lanzero, the quarterback. And a couple of fakes in the backfield. Lanzero keeps the ball, and he's got wide open field. First down. Corey is finally cut down at the 45-yard line, and Pat Beck getting over to make the tackle.
That's a very interesting play to start off with. Right away, you're sending a message to the other team that we're willing to do anything, anywhere. So that'll test Whitmer's defense, and I think that their defensive corner should have really stayed at home, and that would not have been a factor.
So we have a first down on the 45 of the Brunswick Blue Devils. And their first play from scrimmage was highly successful. Now Lanzero back to pass under a lot of heat, but he zips it out into the left flat, complete. And he got Corey Strazar for an 8-yard gain on the play. And it will be second and short coming up.
Yeah, nice play. He had a lot of time. That offensive line of Brunswick is big and strong. So as we could see in that play, he had a lot of protection, a lot of time. You can't really expect the defense to cover their men that long.
There you're looking at the Whitmer Panther starting defensive alignment. And they are going to have to come up with a very big game to stay in contention. But once again, a gaping hole opens, and we have a race to the goal, and it pushed out on the 16-yard line, Franciscangelli. And he can really motor.
Yes, he can, and that time Whitmer's defensive end came across, and actually Franciscangelli cut inside, as you can see, cut inside the defensive end, and there was a nice hole. He didn't try to go around the outside. He ran to daylight, and he picked him up and laid him down, and a nice tackle by Josh Bates actually ran him out of bounds, or he would have been in the house.
Would Chris Berman call him peanut butter Franciscangelli?
Yeah, I think he would.
I think he probably would. First down and 10 again, once more. This time, Franciscangelli the other way. They've got this one scoped out a lot better, do the Panthers, and they throw him down after a couple of yard gain. Josh Bates there, number 4 on the tackle.
You know, that was kind of a slow developing play, and Whitmer responded very well. In fact, on the pass that was completed, I thought there was a hold there when they turned the one defensive end out, and sometimes those things get unnoticed, but Whitmer needs a stop or two here, and I think they'll be okay. This is just the early game jitters.
They run 4 plays so far and move from their own 32 to the Whitmer 16, where we have 2nd and 6. And a bit of a broken play there. Lanzera keeping the football, then he laterals it off to Dave Pace, but he's still stopped for a loss. A flag is down, at about the 21-yard line, and that was almost disaster for Brunswick.
Yes, it may be a face mask, but, you know, that drives a coach nuts sometimes, but you give the quarterback credit for seeing an open guy and just flipping him the ball. It is a face mask. I don't know if it's the 5-yarder or 15-yarder.
That is a very tough break for Whitmer, as it looked like they had come up with their first big stop of the game.
Yeah, and they actually threw him for a good loss, which would have made it 3rd and 10, but they're going to be in good shape now. I hope it's only a 5-yarder.
Brunswick will be in good shape. Still awaiting the walk-off.
They didn't say personal foul, so at least I didn't see that signal, so it would be a 5-yarder. Yes, that's what it is, 5 yards.
It's placed on the 15, and it's from the point of infraction, so really they essentially gained nothing on the play.
They're back
Maybe
where they started
1
from.
yard. 2nd and 5. Rolling to his right, Lanzera. Tuck it in. Turns the corner, and he's inside the 10 and got down to about the 7-yard line before he was finally rode out by Kyle Ranker. And again, he made a big play there, as it looked like they might have him stopped at first.
You know, you see he's the only one in the picture frame, but there's a Panther that comes in, fights off 2 blocks, and there was a big pile up right before we saw that replay, but he was finally forced out of bounds, and he is a good ball player.
Another first down. It's 1st and goal from the 8. Just 2.5 minutes into this game. Hand off to Pace. Wide open hole again. And he bursts down to the 1-yard line before he is finally wrapped up. Jason Steele got in there to prevent the touchdown.
Yes, it was a nice little counter trap, and there was a big hole there. I thought he was going to scoot into the end zone, but it was well executed. But on a couple of these plays, the quarterback has run into his backs. So everything isn't quite as smooth as it looks like the results show.
Yeah, and yet they've driven 66 yards. 2nd down and goal from the 2. Pace has the ball again, trying to snake his way through the opening. Just a tiny crevice in that defensive line. No signal yet, and he didn't quite make it.
Yes, they fake it to the fullback going one way, and then he cuts back. Pace cuts back off of the back of that block going in the other direction. They're trying to get a little misdirection in there to make it confusing for the linebackers of the Whitmer Panthers.
3rd down and less than a yard for a touchdown. There you see just how close they are. Just inches away. Lanzera tries to sneak. Again, no signal.
No, it's 4th down because they're holding their fist up that he did not get in. Both the head linesman and the field judge run in. As you can see him running in here, he'll put his hand up, his fist up, and it's only 1, so it's not a touchdown, and it's 4th down.
Timeout and a big play coming up. Let's take a break. Back in a moment on BCSN. Down and less than a yard. They finally smack it in for the touchdown.
They're all everything fullback, or tailback rather, ran that ball in.
Joe Franciscan-Jelly, there he is. And it's 6-0 for Brunswick, but maybe Whitmer can just derive a little encouragement out of the stubbornness of their goal line defense.
Yeah, I think that pregame jitters is what was bothering them earlier, and I think they're all right now, and especially if they move the football a little bit on offense.
Extra point attempt is up, and it is good.
There's
and
a flag.
Let's take a flag on the play. Let's hold it here for just a moment as Branko Rogovic made that extra point.
There seemed to be kind of a funny action, a delayed action on the snap, and I don't know if it was on the snapper or if it was on Whitmer's defense, but the play just didn't materialize right.
As you see, they're leaving the field. And the kick, I believe, was good, and they are going to penalize the kicking team on the kickoff. That is the situation with 8:04 left in the first quarter. So it is a 7-0 lead for Brunswick, and there's the man that scored the touchdown, Joe Franciscan-Jelly.
Well, I'm glad you're saying his name, Greg, instead of me. And people think they have trouble with Buckenmeyer. I mean, that's a piece of cake compared
That's
to that.
right.
But he's a fine football player. He's all league, and as I understand it, Brunswick, for their league, this is a three-peat for them. This is their third straight year of winning their league championship.
They're out of the Pioneer Conference. They had a 5-1 record, 8-3 overall. Whitmer was 8-3 overall, 6-1 in the City League. And I was just thinking that I'm sure that the Brunswick fans have had a lot of practice at saying Francis Congelli during the course of this season.
I'm sure.
So now it is going to be incumbent upon Whitmer to match the Brunswick offense. Dave Pace returned to kickoff earlier. Now he's going to send the ball soaring down the field. And he gets a short kick that is fielded by Brad Razor, and then they hand it off back at the 20-yard line. So Whitmer trying some antics down there, but it doesn't really spring for them. In fact, he might not have handed it off. It might have just been a case where he ran into a crowd and then ended up coming out with the football. So they end up on the 25-yard line. Let's take a look at the Whitmer starting lineup. Just a moment, we'll get to that. And there is the starting offensive line for Whitmer, and they are going to be responsible for opening the holes for their fine runners, including Kyle Andrews and Nick Speck, two of the top Whitmer producers offensively, of course, with that man quarterback J.J. Fote. And Fote keeps the ball on the option, and he is rocked and down for a yard loss on the first down play. And let's take a look at the Brunswick starting defensive unit there. We saw number 86, Eric Thunderwhite, making that tackle, and it was like Thunder White on that play with that hit. They go with a 4-4 alignment with 4 down linemen and 4 linebackers, and then 3 in the backfield. Dave Pace, he's kind of the rover back there at free safety. No gain on first down. Fote whirling, and the handoff again. Stopped for little or no gain on the play. And that ball went to number 24, Kyle Andrews.
This is kind of Whitmer's answer to Brunswick's counter. It was the same action with a one back, the fullback usually or tailback going to the right, and then the counterback coming back inside, and they really got him no gain or gain back the yard they just lost.
Kyle Andrews had a big season offensively. 25 catches, 552 yards, 9 touchdowns. 3rd and 10, a big play here. Whitmer doesn't want a 3 and out after that first drive. They go with the option, and they pitch around end, but again, good pursuit. And Speck is thrown out of bounds by Jason Reitenbach, and that is the end of Whitmer's first drive. So it's a punting situation for the Panthers.
See, actually, the back running the sweep ran it outside, and the Whitmer Panther corner was blocking him outside. So he ran right into the block. He should have cut that back inside, and he would have picked up a nice gain.
Here you see Brunswick's deep man, Dustin Zalaskowitz, and he'll make you feel happy to say Francis Congelli. Good snap on the punt. Carmine with a boom. It gets to midfield, then takes a long Whitmer bounce. Penalty flag down. It rolls on its merry way all the way to the 24. So a great punt there. 49 yards when everything is taken into account. It rolled a good 26 yards, however, after it hit the ground. But we await the penalty call.
And there's no indication what it is. Officials are talking, as you can see, and a couple of the Brunswick Blue Devils are there close.
With the illegal motion on Whitmer. So we have another costly Whitmer penalty. The first was the face mask on that opening drive, and now a punt that was very beneficial for the Panthers is going to have to be redone.
Yeah, it was a 49-yard punt that's coming back, and it's a shame, really, because they got a nice roll on it. You know,
that roll was like somebody had a hot hand at the crap table or something. It rolled 26 yards.
You're right. On that kickoff, Greg, one of the things I was going to say is when you catch it short, those reverses don't work. You just got to run upfield and get what you can. He ran about 25 yards sideways, so didn't get anything.
Carmine back at the 8-yard line. We He's going to have to come up with perhaps a little better distance in the air on this kick, and he gets it just a couple of yards into Brunswick territory. Good hang time and only a couple of yard return. And that is where Brunswick will put the ball into play from midfield. And on the return, it was Mike Franciscan-Jelly.
Good luck.
So
Greg.
one's not enough. And it was good coverage by that Whitmer bomb squad there. And it is a relatively short field, however.
We'll see if the defense learned anything on that first drive now. And I think you're going to find that at least the pregame jitters are gone and that they'll play much better.
First down and 10. Once again, it goes to Franciscan-Jelly. And Joe Franciscan-Jelly stopped after just a yard, and that certainly should be a confidence booster for the Whitmer defense. In fact, he didn't even get a yard. They placed it right at the original line of scrimmage.
It was well defensed. They were waiting for him that time, and actually he lines up, the tailback lines up very deep. Now this time he's a lot shallower than he was on the earlier play.
Faking in the backfield. Lots of time for Lanzera, but now his pocket disintegrates and he is dumped 3 yards behind the line of scrimmage. And it was Ryan Rutkowski in on the tackle.
There was a lot of pressure that time from Whitmer's defense. They put a lot of pressure on him. It was a little double action in the backfield that took a little bit of too much time, I think, and it cost Brunswick, and now they have 3rd and 15.
So this would be certainly very big for Whitmer if they could force Brunswick to go 3 and out. And the follow-up drive after they scored the touchdown, again they've got a rush on. Lanzera's pass is caught, however, and it goes to Mike Franciscan-Jelly, and he is out at the 31. A big first down for the Blue Devils.
It was a very nice move by Francis. He just took a nice little out, and the ball was delivered right on the money. So we can see some of the talent of Brunswick's quarterback. And a key play, too.
And he threw that under great duress as the rush was bearing down on him for the second consecutive play. Ball placed at the 34.
Yes, they had one-on-one coverage outside, and that's what made it possible.
Working out of the eye, man in motion. Handoff. Again, Franciscan-Jelly closed down on the first down play. Brad Razor got some penetration.
And it looks to me like Whitmer's decided we have to stop the run. We have to make them throw the ball. And since that first drive, they've done fairly well with that. They only got hurt on the pass play on 3rd down.
Down to 3:37 left in a fairly rapidly played first quarter. And in all of that time, Whitmer has had just 3 plays from scrimmage. Lined up very tightly, as you see there. And Franciscan-Jelly, this time a misdirection play to the left, breaks a tackle, and he is free inside the 10, and finally wrestled out of bounds at the 4 by Kyle Andrews. Another first down and goal.
You can see as he goes to sweep to the left, it looks like he's bottled up there, and all of a sudden, right in here, he looks like he's bottled up, he looks like he's going to come down, and he's a good back. He breaks the tackle, and only good angle of pursuit brought him down and saved him from scoring a touchdown.
Again, they get a little bit of a break on the placement. It's back up to the 7-yard line, but still, they are in the red zone, and another touchdown this early in the game would really put Whitmer behind the 8 ball. Handoff, and this time it is number 5, Marco Kosick. He's the player that was said to have been injured, and in fact might be laboring somewhat. He's really one of their top defensive players on the linebacking core, and he got down to the 3.
Even barefoot, he got down to the 3. That was a nice little counter, an inside handoff, which means you're handing it back toward the line of scrimmage instead of away from, and that's not normal in most handoffs, and but it was well executed.
That's quite an operation to get that shoe back on. In fact, he's still over there on the sideline. They're trying to work it back. They got to get it taped properly. Second and goal from the 3. Once again, full house backfield. Fake handoff, Lanzera dives across, touchdown. And Brunswick makes it now 13-0.
As you see, Lanzera here will run opposite the backfield flow. The backfield flow is to the left side. He comes back to his right side. He just looks for an opening, and he sees the opening, and he just dives right into the end zone. A nice run and a nice executed play.
So Bronco Rogovic will come on to try to make it a 14-0 game. He converted very easily on the first attempt. Snap, the kick is up, and it is good. 14-0 now, Brunswick over Whitmer. We'll take a break. Back in a moment with more playoff football on BCSN. 14-0 Brunswick. 2:45 left in the first quarter, and already reached somewhat of a crisis stage here for Whitmer. They cannot afford to fall any further behind, and they've got to show that they can throw a counterpunch here as the return gets out by Brad Razar to the 34-yard line, and that's where the Panthers will put the ball in play.
Now that time the up man caught the kickoff, and he did nothing but run straight ahead, which is what you should do. You should get what you can, because usually plays that are designed don't work on short kickoffs.
That's no fun. It's harder to break one for a touchdown that way.
Sometimes it's easier.
Single setback. Two in the flanker positions, and flags fly immediately before they even really got that going. And J.J. Fote forced to surrender that ball to the official, and we've got an illegal procedure penalty coming up against Whitmer. It will be a 5-yard walk-off, and it will be 1st and 15.
I'm sure it's pretty apparent to everyone that it's important that Whitmer's offense really gets something going here, because you don't want this game to get out of hand early, because sometimes those things just snowball, and even though you're a decent team, you just can't stop them.
Ball on the 30. Shotgun. Late handoff, and nothing much there as they just get a yard on the play, nothing more. It goes to Nick Speck, and he's put down by Jason Hallman, number 65.
Just a straight shotgun and handoff to the back that's back there with the quarterback, so nothing fancy, but Brunswick was waiting for it.
And now it is 2nd and 13. So Whitmer has still not been able to get untracked offensively. Fote's pass looked like it was going to be completed for a big first down, but then it was dropped. And there you see Cliff Morley, who looked like he had that ball right in his hands and simply couldn't hold on. And now it's 3rd and 13, and things just continue to pile up on the Panthers.
Yeah, I looked for them to throw the ball a little bit more earlier, but they did throw it that time, and it came pretty close, but it was no completion.
3rd and 13. Fote back to throw. Again, he's forced to run. Whips it downfield. Complete, but not for enough yardage for the first down. And in fact, he may not have caught that ball, as it was intended for Jimmy Johnson. And no, incomplete. So it will be another punting situation for Whitmer.
It looked like from here that he did catch it, but he was out of bounds, so it's just like an incompletion. So Whitmer's going to have to punt again.
Carmine stationed on his own 18. And he needs a good punt here. He didn't really get it, a line drive, and he didn't get the kind of bounce he got earlier, although he gets somewhat of a bounce. Ball scooped up on the 30 by Pace, and he got back to the 34-yard line. Make that Mike Francis Congelli on the return, and it will be Brunswick's ball on their own 34, and Whitmer's defense now simply has to hold the fort here. There's no other option for them at this stage. Down 14-0 late in the first quarter.
Yeah, they need to make a stand here and actually get some decent field position too, because they have been deep in their own territory.
Whitmer came close to stopping the opening drive on a goal line stand. They worked it to 4th down. They had a 3rd and long situation. Were beaten for a long pass on the second drive, and there's Joe Francis-Scangelli on the first play, and he is stopped on a good stick by Kyle Ranker and a pickup of a couple of yards, and that's all. And Whitmer has started to contain the Brunswick running attack a little bit better as the game has progressed, but they have been hurt through the air.
And they've been hurt through the feet of their quarterback, Lanzera.
2nd and 6. Lanzera again back to pass again. He's rushed, and he's just forced to throw that ball away. And it will be 3rd and 6. And in one respect, Whitmer is doing well. They're getting pressure on Lanzera. One time when he burned them for that downfield pass on the 3rd and long, they had players right in his face, and they've had players in his face on several occasions.
They're doing a much better job, and in fact, I thought that should have been intentional grounding. There wasn't a Brunswick player within 10 yards of that pass.
Well, there were lots of players on the sidelines. They don't count though, do they? 3rd and 6 on the 38. Low snap, and Lanzera will just have to pick it up and then be pounced on. Brad Razor came in and made sure that play wasn't going anywhere.
You know, sometimes a mistake turns everything around. You can see the snap is very low, and he starts to run away from it, but he wisely does pick it up. He actually should have fell on the ball, but he came away okay. And now we'll get Whitmer with some good field position if we have a decent return here of this punt.
So a morale boost for Whitmer as their defense has started to become very stubborn. And they block the punt. Josh Bates, and he picks it up and runs it in for the touchdown. A clean block, waist-high hop, and he waltzes in unmolested. Whitmer right back in this football game.
You know, I thought they got close to the other one, but boy, Josh Bates just was perfect timing, and he does what all good kick blockers do. He runs in front of the punter so that he can get by his foot and block it. The ball bounced right up to him, and he was in the end zone before anybody was within 15 yards of him.
Pat Carmine on for the extra point attempt. There's J.J. Fote to hold. And he converts here. It's 14-7. And you can't come up with a better prescription for Whitmer than what we just saw. The kick is up and good. And it's 14-7 as we take a break. More playoff football coming up on BCSN in a moment. Another very short kickoff. Picked up by Pace at the 25. They get him after a relatively short return, and it will be 1st and 10 Brunswick at the 34. So now Whitmer right back in this game, and I guess the only drawback, Chuck, is the defense has been working so hard. One play, now they're right back out at it again.
Oh, but I think they love it after that stop and then the block kick. They don't mind at all.
Certainly it's a lot more fun playing defense when you're down by 7 than 14 or possibly more. And we mentioned that their defense has been coming on. They've been getting pressure on the quarterback, and they've been stopping the running game here. Francis-Scangelli is stopped on 1st down, and that is the last play of the quarter, cut down by Nick Speck. And the clock has run out. 14-7 Brunswick. Back with second quarter action on BCSN in a moment. So the pendulum has started to swing back towards Whitmer now, as they have closed to within 14-7, and their defense seems to be gathering momentum. Lanzera fakes a handoff, passes in the flat to Francis-Scangelli. Made a great play to find open field. and he's still open, but he's running east to west. Finally turns it up to the Whitmer 46 before he's finally put out of bounds by Josh Bates. I think he ran that ball about 75 yards and he advanced at about 20.
Yeah, that's true, but you know, it's interesting. When he first made his cut back to his right, if he'd have gone about 5 yards and then cut back left, he would have got a lot more yardage. And Whitmer almost had that defense perfectly. The defender was there, kind of let the receiver go, and then realized, and he came back and almost made the tackle. So Whitmer's getting a little sharper with all their plays and their razzle-dazzle.
Francis Congelli really walked a tightrope to stay in bounds and then move upfield. Handoff and powering forward, Corey Johnson. Big fullback, 6 foot, 215-pounder, and he got 4 yards.
I think that's only Corey's first or second carry of the evening. And Whitmer had it diagnosed very well. They just jammed up that middle.
Here is Anthony Lanzera, threw for over 1,200 yards and 8 touchdowns this season. Francis Congelli, the big back, was just 24 yards shy of 1,000 yards for the regular season. He's obviously gone above that now, playoffs included. 2nd and 8 at the 45. Stepping back to throw, pegs it complete to Corey Strazer, and he finally was stopped by Josh Bates after trying to break loose.
Corey just does a little out pattern, just real quick. He's given a little cushion, and we come up and make the stop very well by, I believe that was Josh Bates, the kick blocker.
And touchdown score.
Josh is doing a nice job tonight. I mean, you give him just a little out pattern, you'll give him that all day.
3rd and 1 from the 37. Whitmer showing pressure up at the line, but it looks like Pace got just enough to keep that drive going. He was forced back, but his forward progress should give him the first down. Kyle Andrews on the stop.
See these misdirection plays where the first back goes right and then the back comes back against the grain going left. They're nice plays, but they do take time, and Whitmer is now adjusted to them very well and kind of jammed up that middle. So their defense is playing much better than they did earlier.
1st and 10 on the 35. Fake handoff. Lanzera back to throw. Again, he's pressured. He's going to sprint out of the pocket, and he's got open field and a first down at the 21 before he's finally arrested by Chris Laser.
You know, a lot of times quarterbacks will run that as we look at this. They'll run that play hoping that they'll have a chance to pass the ball, but he's not even looking to pass. It was a run all the way, and as you can see, he's got pretty good speed. He stepped out of the tackle, and when he saw he was going to go down, he just leaned forward and got a few extra yards.
Brunswick has moved 44 yards on this drive, and they are deep in Whitmer territory again. Back to throw, and that one was a low throw, but it was caught on the 17-yard line, so they pick up 5 on the first down play.
That sure looked like it was trapped from here. But a lot of pressure on Anthony Lanzera. He's a 6'2", 185-pound junior quarterback, so he'll be back for Brunswick again next year, number 12.
Mike Robinson, number 28, made that catch. You saw him heading to the sidelines. Ball spotted on the 18. Single wide out, I formation, handoff, and that one is closed down before anything materializes. As once again, it was Francis Congelli, and he was stopped on the play by Kyle Ranker, and is now another critical 3rd down play.
You know, except for a few runs early in their drives, they've bottled him up pretty good.
Be interesting to see what they might do if they don't make the first down yardage here this deep in Whitmer territory. They look like they've got a pretty confident kicker. Down to 8:15 remaining to play here in this first half, and another bad snap, but it was fielded and then zipped downfield complete, and twisting his way right to the shadow of the end zone, Mike Francis Congelli. And it has been the 3rd down completions that has really kept Brunswick going.
Yeah, very cool play there by Anthony Lanzera, and he found Mike Francis Congeli there, Joe's younger brother, and he's a fine receiver. He's been open several times tonight, and he knows what to do with that ball once he gets it.
They have had several conversions on third and substantial yardage to keep drives going, and often through the air. And Whitmer getting some good penetration on the line, and they force Brunswick back to the 4-yard line. So they get a little breathing room there as they put down Dave Pace. And now it was 1st and goal from the 1. Now it'll be 2nd and goal from the 4.
Actually, they were tackling Lanzera when he was handing the ball off, and I thought there was a fumble, but evidently not.
2nd and goal from the 3. Maybe 3.5. Play action. Lanzera going to try to do it himself, and he burrows his way in, but just shy. He got in, but his knee was down before he broke the plane, and it will be 3rd and inches.
I think we've been here before.
Just on the other side of the field.
Actually, they had good pressure in him, but he does a nice job, Anthony Lanzera, of finding just a little crease, and then once he finds it, he accelerates, and he lowered his head and went to that goal line.
They got it to 4th down the last time they were this deep. Can they do it again? Joe Francis Congeli over for the touchdown. So a 66-yard touchdown drive.
You see the replay here. He lowers his head, Francis Congeli, and he finally does get in. In fact, he stopped like at about the 1-yard line and then kind of like almost tippy-toed in. But he had a lot of leg drive to do that, and he got in the end zone, and that's going to put a lot of heat on Whitmer because their offense has to get something going here for them to stay in this ball game.
Whitmer was hoping they might have blown it dead before he got over the goal line. High snap. Kick is up. It's still good. 21-7, Brunswick over Whitmer. And we'll be back with more playoff football in a moment on BCSN. Brunswick cheerleaders have something to cheer about. Their team has scored 3 touchdowns, basically every series but one with the ball. They have taken it to the house. Now Whitmer trying a reverse on the return, and it goes to Nick Speck. And he is toppled at the 24-yard line, and that is where Whitmer will start, so they really weren't getting what they hoped for with that razzle-dazzle play. And they have just got to get their offense going here. There's no question about that.
Yeah, the defense in the last couple drives has played fairly well, but you got to have your offense get them off the field a little bit and get them a little confidence by scoring a touchdown here, and I think you'd find it be a new game if they do.
Touchdown they got was almost deceptive in the sense that it didn't really necessarily change the flow of the game. There's a pitch and a promising 1st down play as Speck barges his way out to the 31 before he stopped just a yard short of the 1st down.
And it looked like J.J. had a little trouble getting that handoff. I don't know if it was a bad snap or if he didn't get a good handoff or what, but it looked like he had a little problem with it. And they can't afford a turnover down here, that's for sure.
2nd and 1. Whitmer has yet to record a 1st down in this game. And that's the first thing they need to do to start turning the tide. Play action, folk. Sprint out left. Being hotly pursued. Pass intercepted at the 40-yard line. And down to the 25. Jason Reitenbach. And now Whitmer is in some serious peril.
Yes, they are. J.J. didn't fire that ball like he usually does. He tried to just loft it over a defender, and he tried to drop it in between 2 defenders, and he was unable to do that. And I think looks like we have a penalty here. And it's a hold on
Brunswick, and they're going to march it back to the 42, so I guess that's something for Whitmer, but nonetheless, they give up possession. Excellent field position for Brunswick. They're not quite as good as at looked to have been, and Brunswick has certainly shown that they know what to do with the ball on offense.
Yes, that was a hold on the interception. The signal wasn't really clear at first, but that's definitely what it was, a hold on the interception return. And Brunswick has it in Whitmer territory again, leading 21-7.
Now we're reaching almost do or die point here for the Whitmer defense, and again they come up big on first down.
You know, I'd be interested to know what the plays for each offense were. I'm sure that Brunswick has way too many plays on offense, and Whitmer has very few.
Pace took that ball for a yard. Whitmer has yet to make a first down, so they've been 3 and out on 2 occasions, and they ran 2 plays on that drive, so that's 8 plays. And close to the end of the half. Timeout on the field. 21-7 the score. Brunswick over Whitmer. Back in a moment with more on BCSN. And there is Old Glory. See quite a wind here. Manzera back to throw. Going for that post pattern, but overthrown. And now it will be 3rd and 8. And here we are again. This is the situation that has made the difference in the game. 3rd and long for Brunswick.
Yeah, and if you can't stop teams 3rd and long, then, you know, you're not going to win football games. And so this is another key test for them. And actually, we have time. If they stop them here and take the ball over, they have time to drive in for a score. And 21-14 wouldn't be that bad at the half with the first half that they played.
I would think they would take that without a second thought at this point. 3rd and 8 from the 40. Shotgun and penalty flags.
Usually those are procedure penalty when they stop the play.
And this could give Whitmer some added breathing room. The one time they stopped Brunswick was on a bad snap from a shotgun. And that short-circuited the drive. Here they're going to walk it back to the 45, a 5-yard penalty, so we'll have a 3rd and 13 situation here.
You know, Anthony Lanzera, as we see there, number 12, he's the kind of guy that when he goes back to pass, you got to make sure you have those lanes covered because he scrambles very well. He's fast, he's strong, and he knows what to do with the football.
Once again, shotgun. Once again under pressure, and he is down. A flag is down in the backfield, but again, Whitmer coming with pressure, and that time it is another penalty. Sean Ray on the sack, and the penalty against Brunswick.
You know, that's to Sean Ray's credit because he got the sack in spite of being held by number 22, Joe Franson-Kelly.
Nick Legger, there's the one, number 51, we just saw to keep an eye on. As you see, he just desperately tried the hold there, keeping Ray from breaking in, and he still managed to get the sack.
Yeah, the flag was thrown right at him, and so this should help Whitmer if we handle the punt okay and move downfield.
Well, that's what you need, someone to make a play in a crucial situation, and Sean Ray just did. Now it is Francis Congeli, but he's going to be called for, or he is going to draw the roughing call on Kyle Ranker.
Now, to me, that was not roughing the kicker. That was running into the kicker because he was under the kicker, and the kicker comes down on him, and he never even went to the ground. Now, it depends on what they call. Running into the kicker is not a first down. Roughing the kicker will be.
And it will be a 5-yard penalty, so that stipulation is going to
save the day
save
for
Whitmer.
Yeah,
when Ranker looked up, he was just pounding his helmet and putting his face into the turf because he was afraid it was a roughing call.
You know, you can't get mad at a player for being too aggressive, and he was just being very aggressive. He almost blocked the kick, so more credit to him.
So now they will punt from their own 47. Francis Congeli, this time they don't rush him so hard. Of course, it got Whitmer their touchdown earlier, and that ball is fumbled, and Kyle Andrews has to make a dive headlong to come up with that. And he managed to do it at the 20-yard line, but some more anxious moments for the Panthers.
Yes, you know, they're playing very nervous tonight, and I thought before the game they were very quietly confident. And, you know, maybe when you don't get off on the right foot, it takes you a while to readjust. So we'll see if that offense can finally move the football.
It's tough when that first drive goes down for the touchdown. That was really the only drive where the Whitmer defense hasn't shown a lot of resistance, although they did force it to 4th down on the goal line stand. But the Whitmer offense just has yet to get going, and they don't manage to get going on the first play of this series as it goes to Joseph Placencio, and he got a couple of yards.
That was just a fullback, straight ahead, just a fullback dive play, and there was no room there, so he got what he could.
Picked up 2, 2nd and 8 from the 21. Right formation, 2 wideouts right. Vote the option again. Pitch. Kyle Andrews. Make that Nick Speck out to the 25 before he was submarined on the play by Jason Reitenbach. He's the one who made the big interception.
You see JJ getting the play from the offensive coordinator or from his dad, head coach Dan Fote. This is a big play, 3rd and almost 5, not quite 5.
Send 3 receivers to the left. Single setback as you see. Can Whitmer finally record a first down? They set up a screen to Speck, and he puts his head down and barrels forward, and I believe he got the first down.
Yes, he did. It was a well-executed play. Sometimes the quarterback goes back a little too fast and a little too far. I thought that JJ was going to do that, but it was just right and picked up a key first down for them, and maybe it'll give them a little confidence.
Last time they picked up 9 yards on first down, but never got that first because of the interception. Now they finally have moved the chains on offense. You know that J.J. Fote, we just saw coming up the center, can start making plays at any time. There's a flare pass out to Speck, and he maybe got a yard before he was flattened as Pace came up from the secondary to make the stop.
And you see when he catches this ball here, it's just a quick pass to the sideline. He needs to get out of bounds. If he sees there's no yardage there, he's still trying to make a play, and there's blue shirts all around him. He should have got out of bounds because we have only 2:19 left in the half, and they have to go 60-some yards.
2nd and a long 7 from the 34. Dashing out of the pocket, breaking a tackle. Fote straining for the first down yardage, didn't quite get it, but he is very close. And finally stopped on the play by 3, but led by Nick Kakavis.
The head linesman did call for timeout, and I think they're going to measure it. It's close enough, but I agree with you. I don't think he quite got it. He did what he had to do. He saw daylight. He didn't see any receivers open, and maybe this is going to be Whitmer's 2nd first down of the half.
And he really made that play by breaking the tackle of number 33, Steve Vachon. And if he reaches this first down yardage, did not quite. That's what it looked like to the naked eye, looking all the way over to where that chain was situated. So we are going to have a 3rd and extremely short.
Good picture by a camera crew right on that. You saw that it was about 6 inches short. But it's another chance for Whitmer to pick up a first down. It's 3rd and short. There's 2:01 left in the half. And if they pick up the first down, the clock will stop in order for them to set the chains.
We're going to go with the shotgun on 3rd and 1. So let's see what the Panthers have up their sleeves here. Fote is going to throw down the field, and he nearly had Speck, but it was broken up by Dave Pace. So now it's 4th and a yard.
And we have a penalty, and it's in the area where you often see holding against the offense, and that's going to really mess up the drive. And I'm sure they're going to have to just kick it away. It's either holding or a face mask on the quarterback, but I thought, oh, it's personal foul. It is hitting the quarterback.
Oh, what a break for the Panthers.
There's Coach Vogt in the yellow and the navy shirt, as you can see. The fine head coach of the Whitmer Panthers. He had a fine season here, starting off a little slow, but then the Panthers put it together when they had to, and as you mentioned earlier, Greg, they beat St. John's to get into the playoffs at a critical game in the last game of the season. So we ought to give congratulations to the Panthers regardless of the outcome of this ball game.
It's almost as though they completed the pass. 15 yards now to the Brunswick 43, and it's really as though this is the third week of playoff action for Whitmer, because that St. John's game basically was a play-in game to get to the state tournament. The winner of that game was going to reach the playoffs. Handoff, and it goes to Speck, and he picks up 3, driving forward into the teeth of that defense. Finally stopped on the play by Steve Vachon.
See, the inside stuff is not going. Brunswick is only playing a front 4 with a 4 linebackers, so they're playing a 4-4, but those front 4 are pretty big and strong individuals, and they weren't fooled on that play.
So Whitmer, it's not exactly what you'd call a smooth flowing drive, but they're figuring out a way to clamber down the field. There's a long pass by Vogt, and he was going for Kyle Andrews, and it was nearly intercepted as the ball just kept on floating, and Mike Franciscangelli nearly got under it.
But Vogt threw that ball out, and that's a good job by a quarterback. You throw that ball high and let a good receiver run under it. But the receiver made no adjustment at all to the ball, which surprised me. And I was really surprised that Whitmer took so long to get that play in and to get the play going. They don't have that much time to waste.
3rd and 7. Ball on the 40. Whitmer would dearly love to get some points posted before halftime. Vogt under pressure and snowed under at the 43. And the whole line was in on him, led by that man there, number 86, Eric Funderwhite.
Nothing but blue jerseys, and Whitmer's calling a timeout here, and I'm surprised, frankly. What would have made sense was to let that clock run down, then call timeout, and then it would be 4th down, and you could try a Hail Mary or whatever, but you don't want to leave that much time left.
Well, the timeout on the field will remind you that you can find out when your favorite team is playing on BCSN by visiting www.bcsn.tv. You'll find daily and weekly programming schedules, highlights, scores, and links to your favorite teams. If it has to do with local sports, you'll find it at www.bcsn.tv.
You know, that's a good idea, because I have friends that ask me all the time, well, when is so-and-so playing? When is this game? When's that game? When's the game that you did Friday night? And all they have to do is go to the internet.
Lots of features there. A real website that we're very proud of here at BCSN. Well, we've got 1:02 left to go in the first half. 4th and 9, the ball on the Brunswick 42. You see the meeting of the minds over there. And this is obviously a critical play, because Whitmer really hasn't invaded Brunswick territory too often in this game. They don't want to waste a chance when they get it. What are you looking for here, Coach?
Well, they're spreading them out, which I thought they would. JJ is going to go back deep and try to hit somebody probably on a crossing pattern, or for him to run, he will run.
But again, he is pressured severely, and he doesn't really even get a chance to make a play, and the ball goes over to Brunswick. And now, with still 58 seconds left in the half, Brunswick will have an opportunity to perhaps get some points on the board before halftime, and with already a 14-point lead, that would be a very dire development for Whitmer. And that man Lanzera, he can make it happen.
Yeah, it's dire enough. We don't need any more points, that's for sure. Whitmer's always been very good at going in the locker room and adjusting, though, so let's hope that they do that this halftime.
First, they've got to keep Brunswick out of the end zone prior to the end of the half, but there's a completed pass to Corey Strazar, and it is a 1st down. Clock stops while they move the chains at 51 seconds now, and the one thing that you wouldn't think Whitmer would want to do is to allow them to make 2 or 3 passes and move it easily down the field to the red zone.
That was a nice open field tackle too, but I missed the number.
Lanzera again. This time he's pressured. And he just gets rid of it. And again, that looked very much like grounding. The only two players anywhere near that ball were wearing white jerseys.
Yeah, I'm surprised that they haven't called those two. And the other one was just flagrant because there wasn't anybody within 10 yards. And those were key situations, too.
It lands near a defensive player. Maybe that could be considered a possible receiver. 2nd and 10, ball on the 45. And Whitmer, I'll tell you one thing, they've been doing a good job getting pressure on Lanzera. They're not letting him just stand back there and riddle the secondary. And again, they're in on him. And a great tackle there by Dubendorfer. Clay Dubendorfer with the sack. And it will be now a 3rd and 19 situation, and that clock is just going to keep running here. And at this point, Brunswick may have very little chance to do anything.
And Clay just overpowered his man. I mean, he had a vision that time, and he really followed through on it. There was no chance for a pass on that one.
This Whitmer defense has been very gutsy indeed in this game. They had a little bit of a rocky start, but they have made some big plays. And the time expires in the half, and Whitmer keeps it within a manageable deficit at 21-7. And that's the score as we break. Back with our halftime on BCSN coming up in a moment. All right, back again at Huron, 21-7 Brunswick over Whitmer. And let's be entertained by the Whitmer Panther Marching Band.
The next song on tonight's show is from our senior show. Owned by the Six. This is featuring three senior flags for Aaron Burke, Aaron Farrell, and by Andrew Webb. So sit back and enjoy the driving tune-up. Mr. Obama.
as usual, by the Whitmer Panther Marching Band. Let's take a break. 21-7. Brunswick over Whitmer in this playoff matchup on BCSN. Back with more in a moment. Back at Huron High School again. Brunswick leading Whitmer 21-7. One of the nice things about these playoff games, a chance to hear some of the bands from elsewhere in the state. And let's listen to the Brunswick Blue Devil Marching Band.
Performance with the tribute to the Valiant Flyers of the United States Air Force in Haze the Perilous Sky.
All right, the Brunswick Blue Devil Marching Band. 21-7 our score. Brunswick over Whitmer. Second half action coming up on BCSN in a moment. There is J.J. Fote and his father, Dan, to his right, now to his left, as the Whitmer Panthers are trailing Brunswick 21-7. Their offense has been anemic in the first half. They've got to figure out a way to start moving the football. Their defense looked well at times, but had a hard time stopping Brunswick in third down and substantial yardage situations as Whitmer coming back on the field. Coach, what do you envision that the Panthers are going to have to do to get back into this?
Well, I think they're going to have to open it up a little bit. It's obvious that they haven't been able to run the ball inside, and those plays have almost been wasted plays for them, although you don't like to say that because a lot of times they set up other things. But I'd like to see them come out and maybe the first 4 or 5 plays go back to pass and give JJ a little protection, and he can pick his spots too to run, just as excuse me. I'm sorry about that. Just as Lanzera, excuse me.
Hey,
boy,
you get
I butchered that name, boy. I'm sorry, Anthony. But just like he has done in the first half, JJ's capable of that. But JJ needs a little room and a little time, and they need a little confidence to pick up a first down or two here.
There's Kyle Andrews, deep man back. Official counting to make sure there's the right number of players on the field. And it will be Dave Pace sending that ball airborne here to start the second half. And it's not very airborne. A short kick that is fielded, and then a good return goes by the boards as Dale Mosek slipped and went down on his knees, and the ball will be put into play at the 30-yard line. And he was unhappy with that because I think he felt he had a chance to get good field position for his team there.
Well, Dale did a nice job knocking the ball down, but in his haste to get the ball and get back upfield, he did slip on this turf as it's getting later in the evening, and it's a little damp out there.
On the other hand, he let go of the football, but his knee had already landed, so that was no fumble. 1st and 10, ball on the 30. Whitmer comes right out. The shotgun, Fote tries to run it up the gut, but again, to no avail. And he was stopped on the play that time by Kyle Reese, number 78, a 6', 250-pound defensive lineman.
See, the front 5 has to give JJ a little bit more time because Anthony Lanzera of Brunswick has had time, and so he can pick the little creases and pick up that yardage. But that was a run right from the get-go with no deception at all.
2nd and 10. Ball nearly fumbled. Fote got it on a broken play, and he made 5 or 6 yards. And just as it looked like he might spurt out for even more, he was rocked at the 36-yard line.
You can see the ball slips out. He almost didn't get it at all. He was pulling out of there pretty quick. And those kind you can't tell whether it's the center's fault or the quarterback's fault because you're not sure of the timing. But he made the most of it, and they have a makeable third down here.
3rd and 3 from their own 36. You saw how close he came to fumbling that football. The I formation. Defense might have jumped here. Flags fly. See whether they were possibly drawn off.
And I don't think so. Whitmer was very, very still.
No, it was not.
That's what you need to do. That's a great way to convert. So there's their first down, and early here in the second half.
So the call goes against Brunswick. There is the guilty party. Jack Masenko as he was edging forward. And it is now 1st and 10 on the 41. So new lease on life for Whitmer. Fote keeps the ball, broke away, and forged his way out to the 47. And a good gain on 1st down. Stopped on the play by Steve Vachon.
Very nice game, and gain, as we were saying, that quarterbacks' decisions are really what make quarterbacks what they are, and he made a nice decision there. I actually thought he was going to pitch it, but he saw a little opening, and he picked up 5 yards, which is a nice gain on 1st down.
here again, they have a few more options on second down. With that decent gain on first, option, pitch, and Speck with room. Nearly turns the corner, but he does manage to get upfield for the first down yardage, but again, a flag is down.
And they're going to call holding, and boy, there was a pile there, and I didn't see it, but they called it right away, and that's going to hurt Whitmer, and those are drive killers.
And if the officials give, they can also take away.
Yep, they called that right away, and looked to me like a good block. Maybe he did after they both made contact hold on, but it sure didn't look like it from here. But officials are down in the field, have a better angle than we do, and Whitmer's just going to have to live with it and overcome it.
Walk off back to the 37-yard line, where it will be now second down and 14 to go. Fake to the first man, Fote back to throw, lofts it downfield, and that one is overshot. Intended for Kyle Andrews. And that was Fote's first pass attempt of the second half. In the first half, he was a mere 2 for 7 for 10 yards and 1 interception. So that was a very forgettable first half.
He is really lucky that he did throw it a little too far, because he threw it into double coverage, and it was out of the reach of everyone. But he had time, a nice little delay inside, and then he had time to throw the ball, but he just let it go a little too deep.
Third and 13. 3 receivers, now 4 to the right, and that is just totally aborted as everybody started moving at the wrong count.
And
what does that tell you where the problem was?
Well, usually what that tells you is that the center was wrong in the count. So, I mean, if everybody on both teams moved, then the center got the wrong count, generally speaking, but not always.
Or if the center was right, then he should have snapped it early. I used to say in the Army, if everyone else is wrong and you're right, then you're wrong.
Yeah.
They got to keep in unison.
You got it.
3rd and 18 on the 33. So now they've really got a daunting situation here. And a high snap. Fote did a good job to control it, but once again, he's under heavy pressure, and he just really can't get set for the throw. He had an open receiver, Nick Speck, but he couldn't get it to him.
Both of his 2 receivers downfield there did come back to the ball, which is what you're supposed to do, but the bad snap just threw off the timing, and timing is just so important in your plays, especially in offense, and if the timing's not there, the plays just don't work.
Pat Carmine there, getting ready to punt again. He's had a couple of relatively short kicks, but he's gotten very healthy bounces on. Once again, this is a short line drive kick, and once again, he will get the benefit of a good roll. And it's downed on the 31 by Jimmy Johnson, and Brunswick will take the ball on offense again, and Whitmer's defense has really been playing on the edge of a cliff this whole game. Had several instances where we've thought they've got to make a stop here or the game could get out of hand, and they face the situation again. They're still hanging in there at 21-7, although their one touchdown came on a block punt that was run in for a score by Josh Bates. Man in motion, handoff, Joe Franciscangelli, and he was tripped in the backfield. He managed to get a couple of yards. Initial penetration on the play by Clay Dubendorfer.
This offense has been in vogue for the last few years, where the tailback stays back there and the quarterback actually runs back to him and hands him the ball, which takes an awful lot of time. You're asking an awful lot of your offensive line to hold their blocks that long, but the idea is then he has time to see where the holes are. But I don't know, Whitmer's really shut it down.
Takes the reverse, and Lanzera with open sailing, and he gets across midfield. Ball was pitched loose, but not until after the whistle sounded, and it is another first down for Brunswick.
And Lanzera is a master at this. You see him hobbling a little bit, a little fake crossbuck, and then he just pulls the ball, tucks it in. He's not even looking to pass. He's got plenty of blue shirts out in front of him blocking, and he sets up his blockers really well and cuts back inside.
Good tackle there from behind by Brad Razor. He did force that ball loose, but only after the knee hit. So 1st and 10 on the 47. And in motion coming this way. Francis Congelli. And they pry open the defense, and he is free at the 15, and finally tossed out of bounds by Kyle Andrews. But for the second time in the game, he breaks a long one that puts Brunswick into the red zone.
And that's the way this offense is designed to run. Again, they walk all the way back to the ball carrier. Joe Francengelli takes it there. He just escapes that tackle, and then he has nothing but daylight. And again, there's a lot of blue jerseys out in front of him blocking. And Whitmer's defense is in the hole again a little bit.
Yeah, they could mark that one easily. It's right there by the BCSN sign. Put it on the 15. 1st and 10. And this drive starting to take the shape of many of the others that Brunswick has pulled off in this game. And they make the handoff on a good fake, and driving for that. Pushed out of bounds on the 1-yard line. Francis Congelli again.
And again, it was the same play that they ran the play before, but they ran it to the other side. It's the identical play. The quarterback comes all the way back, hands it to the tailback, and you see nothing but pulling blue jerseys out there. A lot of blockers in front of him. And he does not quite get in, but it's a very nice run, well blocked.
Great tackle by Kyle Andrews. You saw some of the Whitmer defenders continue to go after Lanzera after he handed the ball off. The fake was so convincing. 1st and goal from the 1, touchdown. Francis Congelli again, and it is 27-7 now for Brunswick. And they have possibly broken this thing open here midway in the 3rd quarter.
As you can see, the line action, the blue jerseys are pushing the white ones back, and obviously gives a little bit of room there, and that's all he needed for a 1st down. And they have a very strong, powerful offensive line that doesn't get a lot of credit.
So Bronco Rogovic on to convert. Try to make it a 28-7 game. He's had no problem with his 3 earlier attempts. And this one is no exception. And 28-7 Brunswick over Whitmer. Let's take a break. Be back in a moment on BCSN. 7:35 left, and starting to feel pretty good on that bench. But as we saw in the St. Ursula volleyball semifinal match, can't start feeling too good too soon. There's the kickoff. Whitmer has a hard time fielding it. Chris Laser finally got it up over the 20-yard line and maybe to the 21 before he is decked, and it will be 1st and 10 for Whitmer there, and they have just got to try to jumpstart this offense.
And Brunswick was down on that ball pretty quickly, and I watched the kickoff on the yard line, and there were 2 or 3 players I thought that were offsides, but they don't call that much anymore, not at any level, but they should, because that gives the kicking team a real advantage if they can get down there quick.
1st and 10, just past the 20. And drifting in motion to the right, and that will be Specht in position to take the flare, and he surges out to the 27. Decent gain on 1st down again.
And when you pass backwards like that, passer can throw, the receiver can throw another pass in what they call a double pass, and maybe they're setting that up for later use, but they can't wait too long.
It's been an unorthodox game in the sense in that Whitmer has often made decent yardage on 1st down, but then they haven't been able to build on that, and their defense has often stopped Brunswick on 1st down, but Brunswick has still been able to move the football. Play action, deep drop for Fote, and again, his pass out in the left flat incomplete, intended for Kyle Andrews, and Whitmer has just not been effective through the air in this game.
Just a little out of Kyle's reach, and he did a nice job trying to get it, ran a nice pattern. He was open for a short gain, but the pass was not delivered.
And it will be now 3rd and 3, so it's still very makeable. Eminently makeable, but they have got to do it. Big play here. Fake. Defense caught the fake. Long pass, but again, that is nowhere near anyone. In fact, it was about 10 yards into the Brunswick bench area, and their fans, well, they're applauding the fact that the ball was picked off on the sidelines by Ryan Bedovelski.
It was their tackle, offensive tackle, and they gave him a big hoopla.
I don't think he was expecting to make any pass receptions in this game. Certainly not from that juncture of the field. Carmine with the punt. It's a high hanging one, not particularly long, and this time he doesn't get the advantage of the bounce. So it will be a 33-yard punt down on the Brunswick 40-yard line. There's Kyle Andrews, outstanding performer during the season, but he's not really had a lot of running room in this game or room to catch passes, but he's looked good on the defense. As has this Whitmer defensive unit quite often, but they just haven't been able to snuff out the drives totally.
And the Brunswick Blue Devils, starting on the 40-yard line, they've had good field position all night long.
And that has been a real key to the game. And again, Francis Congelli is contained fairly well on 1st down as he gets only a couple of yards on the play. Getting up from the bottom of that pile for Whitmer, Chris Laser, number 7. And it will be 2nd down. They'll call it 7 on the 43. (28-7). See the clock ticking away, and it's ball control offense for Brunswick. Taking advantage of the clock. And here's again Francis Congelli, and a great tackle there, as it was Josh Bates stepping up. He didn't actually finish the tackle, but he held Francis Congelli up enough for his mates to take him out.
Yeah, Jason Steele came to the rescue there a little bit to help him out. Now this was a play where Francis Congelli just actually turned on the burners as soon as he got the ball. A few others, he kind of tippy-toes until he sees a little opening, and then he turns on the jets. And but that one, he just turned it on right from the start.
Saw Steele trying to steal the football there. Whitmer trying to perhaps manufacture another big defensive break, could lead to a score. And again on 3rd and long, they turn it. Francis Congelli still on his feet, out of bounds at about the 41, but another flag down.
Now this is going to be holding. The Whitmer Panthers had a real nice rush there, and the guy got half blocked, but he got tackled more than he got blocked. And I didn't see who the defender was for Whitmer, but it was an obvious hold, and that ball's coming back. And you know, a lot of people say, well, why do they call these holding penalties? Well, if the gain is because of the hold, you can understand that, and that one certainly was. Without that hold, they would not have gained anything.
So it will be a 3rd down and 17 by the time all is said and done, back at the Brunswick 34. So it looked like yet another 3rd and long conversion by the Blue Devils, negated by that penalty. And now there will be extra long yardage here. Francis Congelli, Francis Congelli in motion. And again, pressure on Lanzera, and as a result, he is not able to deliver that pass to Corey Strazar.
And Corey was open. He did a little curl inside. just beyond the first down marker, but the ball was delivered low because there was a lot of pressure put on by that Whitmer front four.
You just emphasize again, Whitmer has had good, consistent pressure on the quarterback. They've done a pretty good job controlling the line of scrimmage, but it's just been one play out of each sequence that has really sunk them and kept Brunswick on top. They barely got that kick off as another good rush is applied, and a fair catch by Kyle Andrews. It will be Whitmer ball
This time
on their own 38-yard line.
It was Kyle Ranker that almost got that punt this time, and he kind of wanted to join Josh Bates' club and get himself a block kick and a touchdown, and he almost did it.
Here's a look at number 81, Jimmy Johnson, going out left for Whitmer. And the question is now, can this Whitmer offense start to move the football in the way to which they have been accustomed this season? Handoff, and again, nothing for Nick Speck. Tried to spin and make something out of nothing, but he was finally taken out by Steve Vachon.
You know, this is really hard on an offensive coordinator or on a head coach. You try different things, you just hope something works, and you know, sometimes you're just up against a brick wall, and it's really hard to get any rhythm going in offense when you're kind of searching to see what will work for you.
They have not been able to generate any really big plays on offense. Just managed to eke out a couple of first downs, and that's really it. Now a crossing pattern, and that one is caught for a first down, and that's probably their biggest single play from scrimmage in this game. Kyle Andrews on the catch.
Yeah, Kyle does a nice job of just running a crossing pattern. A lot of time for JJ that time. You can see the ball is delivered, and it's delivered in an area where nobody else will get it. It's low right into his gut, and he made a nice catch and a first down. So they need to put about 3 or 4 of those plays together, and I think you'll see a different offensive team then.
The nose of the football into Brunswick territory. Fote again, 3-step drop out into the flat, complete once more to Cliff Morley, and he is wrapped up immediately by the enveloping arms of Mike Francis-Congelli, but an 8-yard pickup down to the 42.
Nice little down and out, and now they're in Brunswick territory, moving the ball, and that's what they need to get a little offensive confidence, and there's still time in this ball game.
Well, Whitmer has been down and out, but trying to change that here.
Okay.
2nd and 2. See what they can do here. We saw them earlier try a long pass on a 3rd and 1. Option still looks like trouble, and Kyle Andrews fails to get back to the line of scrimmage.
See, that option is taking a long time, and I don't know why, but it seems to get tied up inside when they ride the fullback, and then JJ pulls the ball out, and by the time he pitches it, the running back is 5 or 6 yards deep from the line of scrimmage, and that shouldn't be. You want to pitch that ball closer to the line of scrimmage, and that cost him a yard there.
Saw the gentleman that made the tackle in the backfield, Dave Pace, number 2. A very versatile player for Brunswick. Now we have a 3rd and 3. Almost certainly they'll take 2 cracks at this. Again, with the option, this one looks a little bit better. Speck, as he turns the corner, has got the first down, and his feet just slipped out from under him, or he might have even gotten more, but they'll take that 8 yards to the 35 and keep the drive going.
And this is just what the offense needs, a little confidence builder, picking up 2 or 3 first downs here, and like I said, we could certainly use that to make this a ball game.
Speck rushed for just shy of 800 yards during the regular season. 1st and 10 on the Brunswick 35. Deepest offensive penetration of this game so far for Whitmer. High formation, they go with a little razzle-dazzle, but it is not going to work. Jimmy Johnson tried to twist free and fumbled it, and it's recovered by Brunswick.
And the man of the hour was number 86, Eric Thunderwhite. He's been all over that play. He stayed at home, and that's what you have to do. You see he's got the runner squared up there. Although he doesn't make the tackle, he slows him up, He cost him a little penetration, and he actually, no, he does not make the fumble.
Ryan Glad, number 7, got it, but really it was Funderwhite's work from the word go that caused that.
Because if he wouldn't have been there, I mean, if he would have been sucked in by the fake, then there was nothing but daylight for the running back.
And needless to say, Ryan was very glad to come up with that gift. Hand off, Francis Congelli, and out of bounds at the 45. And that might be the setback that is just the final straw for Whitmer here.
Yeah,
As they just really needed to make something out of that drive.
Yeah, that might be too big a mountain to climb now. If just a matter of time too, because Brunswick is pretty good at ball control, and they move the ball fairly well. So you can't give them that football.
Down to a minute 42, as you see, in this third quarter. Brandon Garman, number 4, in motion, and they did a good job of spelling out that play. And Francis Congelli ends up losing 3 yards.
Now you see the benefits of this offense where you run back and give it to the tailback earlier when Francis Congelli made a couple nice long runs, but there's the bad part of this offense, that you're back there and you give the defense time to react to you and send you back for a few more yards.
Manzera got some instructions from the bench. There's a conference going on with the officials, with the Whitmer players here. I did not see any flag on the field. But we do have an illegal motion call that is declined. So they're going to obviously accept that 3-yard loss and make it a 3rd and 6. So here we go again. This is the situation that more than anything has tipped the scales in Brunswick's favor. 3rd and significant yardage to go. They're going to try outside again for it, and once more they're going to succeed as Francis Congelli scoots out to midfield, and right there, that's the whole game in microcosm that we just saw.
Yes, actually, Whitmer had a chance. They were in position to make the tackle, and 2 tackles were missed, which allowed Brunswick to pick up the key first down and keep the clock moving here in the third quarter.
I think if you were to chart the success rate for Brunswick on plays of 3rd down and 5 yards to go or more, you'd have a stunning percentage. And they have a first down right at midfield. Once again, working out a tight eye, and Francis Congelli to the 47-yard line. And again, Whitmer does a fairly good job containing on first down. Tackle there by Brad Razor.
And Brunswick is content to just pick up 3 yards, keep the clock moving, as they have a commanding lead here as 28-7.
Second and 8. Second man through, and we're going to have another 3rd and relatively long. As Pace, the ball carrier, and he was cut down by Chris Laser.
And you said it many times tonight, Greg, that this is the key to the ball game really tonight, has been the fact that Brunswick has been able to convert 3rd and long, and Whitmer defense, as good as they've played on other downs, somehow the 3rd and long downs really have hurt them tonight. Actually, the defense played very well since that first drive, really, considering everything. And we got a timeout on the field here.
Third quarter is over. So 28-7, Brunswick will be back with their 3rd down in a moment after this break on BCSN. 3rd and 5, Lanzera. This time is going to be tracked down in the backfield and stopped by Clay Dubendorfer.
Oh, Clay made a nice diving tackle there to stop the running quarterback, Anthony Lanzera, and who's hurt him many times tonight, but good job by Clay, and they're forcing Brunswick to punt here.
That's interesting for a Whitmer player to be named Clay, huh?
Yes. Well, maybe he got away. Who knows?
Mike Franciscan-Jelly posted at his own 42, as you see. He's been a fine receiver in this game. Made some big catches. And he's doing something here that he hasn't had to do too often in the game, namely punt the football. And again, they're coming after him. He has had some trouble when he has had to punt the ball. He's had one blocked and was run into another time. And a fair catch at the 11-yard line by Kyle Andrews.
You know, that was interesting because there was enough pressure up that middle that if the first rusher would have dove and laid out, he would have had that punt block. But he pulled up because he was afraid that he was going to rough the kicker. But that was very close to being blocked, and I think it should have been.
1st and 10. They got a long distance to traverse here. 89 yards. And Fote pumps, and he goes for a big chunk of those 89 yards on first down, but it's intercepted. And another long return here, as it is Mike Franciscan-Jelly still on his feet at the 19 before he is finally halted by Nick Speck. And Whitmer has just not been able to get it going on offense today.
You know, we talked about Mike's brother, Joe, and Mike's played a whale of a game here as a receiver and as a defender, and he runs under this ball very well, takes it away and brings it back fairly well. He's good at catching the ball on either side of the line of scrimmage, because I think that's his second interception, and I think he has 3 or 4 receptions, so he's done a good job for them tonight.
That was a nice, almost poetic-looking pass there, the perfect spiral against the lighted dark sky, and it looked great until it landed in the hands of the wrong player.
Yep, Woody Hayes would say, you know, that's one of the things that goes wrong when you...
Whitmer going to get it right back, and they do. At the 29-yard line, it was number 53, Ryan Rutkowski, who made that recovery. So
Ryan
it's right back to Whitmer.
Ryan had a lot of pressure in there on Brunswick and forced the fumble, and he did a great job picking it up.
Now, you were right in the middle of a Woody Hayes quote when that happened.
Yeah, Woody Hayes says when you pass the football, 3 things happen, and 2 of them are bad.
Right?
So he would have loved that one.
So Whitmer with a very unexpected reprieve as they go with the option on first down, and Speck trying to turn the corner. He got about 4 yards. Interestingly enough, there have been 2 seemingly disastrous interceptions that Brunswick has made deep in Whitmer territory, and then they got good returns. Neither time were they able to put any points on the board.
Yeah, that's funny because they've had good field position all night, and after the 2 pass interceptions, they did very little.
First time they were pushed back, largely the result of ill-timed penalties, and then here with the fumble. 2nd and 6 at the 34. However, the festiveness of the Brunswick mood has scarcely been dampened by that turnover. They still lead by a very prohibitive margin, and Fote goes down in the backfield after slipping, and then Steve Quintus put the touch on him.
It looked like there was a mix-up. Somebody went the wrong way, or somebody was expecting something different, because he turned around and he actually made a 360 circle, and that was not in the playbook, I can tell you that.
No, that wasn't one of the trick plays we talked about, right?
No, definitely not.
If it is, I think they need a little more practice on it. There's a little bit of whirling in the backfield, and Fote broke away. First down out to the 47.
I think
and
that's
he was tackled by Nick Kakavis.
I think that's the play they were trying to run, and they said, well, let's come back and run it right. And it was a circle. JJ just decided to tuck the ball in, forget the pitch, and he picked up a key first down.
With a whirling dervish back there.
Not only does this offense have to score, but they have to score a little quicker than they are. They're taking their time between plays, and They just got to start moving the ball. You almost have to go in a 2-minute drill.
Started on their own 11, and now they're into Brunswick territory as Nick Speck booms down to the 47 of Brunswick before he was stopped on the play by Ryan Glad. There's the Brunswick band and cheerleaders. They had a great performance there at halftime with their band. We've seen a couple of the out-of-town bands being very impressive during these playoffs.
When we were doing the coaches show, they were putting on quite a show, and you could hardly hear. They're great sound too.
2nd and 2 on the 47. Play action. Pegging it downfield again. No one near the ball except a player in a dark jersey. And an easy interception by Dustin Zalaskowitz. And J.J. Boat has just had no success throwing the ball downfield tonight. 3rd interception of the game for Brunswick.
This is not a typical Whitmer offensive production because the balls really haven't been delivered on time. The timing has been very, very erratic, and as shown by that play. And it was just almost a Hail Mary when it didn't need to be.
Somewhat similar to the St. Francis playoff game that we saw last week when their bread and butter was just closed down. Relentless opposition defense. Joe Franciscan-Jelly a couple of yards on 1st down, but now we have only 8:15 to play, and it's hard to really conceive of a scenario whereby Whitmer could get this many points back in such short order. Certainly a couple of really big turnovers would have to be involved, you would presume.
And they'd have to do a heck of a lot more than they've done earlier.
Recover an onside kick in there somewhere. And again, Franciscan-Jelly sifting through the defense and gets to about the 27 before he is stopped. And it was Ed Ickes in on that tackle.
And speaking of tackling, the tackling has not been crisp all night. The defense has played fairly well. They've been in position, but in a couple of key 3rd down situations where if they would have made the tackles that they were in position for, they would have been fine. But they could not come up with the big plays when they needed it.
3rd and 3 from the 27. It has still been a valiant effort by Whitmer, particularly by their defense. Round in, lots of room for pace, and he's got the 1st down out to the 35-yard line before he is finally tripped up by Chris Laser, and again, it is a Brunswick 1st down.
Little short counter trap, and there was he able to turn the corner with a little room and picked up a key 1st down and keep the clock moving. And that's what Brunswick wants to do now. If you notice, they're not really trying to throw the football downfield. They're just playing ball control football.
They have not exerted total dominance, but they have been in control from the very outset of this football game. They get a couple of yards on 1st down.
Well, and they've been able to maintain control because of Whitmer's lack of really consistent offensive play, and that really has been the difference in this whole ball game. They have not been dominant, but they are definitely a good, solid football team.
Corey Johnson on that carry for a couple of yards. There's Kyle Andrews, 6'3", 190-pound senior. Of course, seniors playing their final game in their Whitmer career unless things change 180 degrees here in very, very short order. And there is play that lost a yard as they pitched it to the outside, but nothing was there.
You know, I had heard great things about this running back, but he's good. There's no question about it. He takes advantage of his holes, but I wouldn't say he's a dominant running back either. I've seen a lot better running backs in the City League, really. But he does have a nice line. He's got a great quarterback to set him up, and it sure helps him a great deal.
They haven't been overpowering, haven't been overwhelming with their offensive capabilities, but they have been able to carve out the yards. And here's Francis Congelli carving out even more as he gets across midfield. Smacked down by Clay Dubendorfer.
See, and he did break a tackle to pick up 8 more yards, but when he broke the tackle, the tackler did not wrap him up. He didn't put his arms around him. He didn't drive his shoulder into him. He tried to throw a cross body block into him and knock him down that way. With a good running back, you just can't do that. You got to really wrap him up and take him to the turf.
So now we're under 5 minutes left, and Brunswick is just trying to run out the clock. Corey Johnson, a 360 spinorama as he worked his way through the secondary and picked up 9 yards and very close to the necessary 10 for a first down. It's going to be second and very, very short.
Just a straight handoff to the fullback, a very quick hitter, and he was really into the secondary of Whitmer before they knew it. This is the kind of team that kind of lulls you to sleep. They walk out to the ball and everything, and you're just not sure about them, and then bang, they run a play and pick up 9 yards.
And Johnson pulls his way to the 34. And another first down. And it almost looks like Whitmer has just finally been ground down. It's been a war of attrition for practically the whole game, and they've been on the field for a exceedingly lengthy period of time, and finally it just looks like they don't have the necessary zeal left anymore to stop this running attack.
I think a statistic that's over-evaluated a lot of times or overrated is ball possession or time of possession, but boy, tonight has been the story of the game. It is not overrated at all.
And juking a bit in the backfield and getting about 3 yards on the play is Logan Valier. And it will be 3rd down and 5.
I would guess Brunswick's time of possession is at least 2-1 over Whitmer's, and it looks like we have some changes here. A lot of the blue-shirted Blue Devils are coming off, including their starting quarterback and a few other players.
Kyle Milano is in at quarterback now. Don't know if he hails from Italy. I tend to doubt it, but he's now racing out to his right. And that looks very similar to Mr. Lanzera carrying the football. And he dances down to the 20 for yet another first down.
And Kyle's only a sophomore, even though Anthony Lanzera is a junior and will be back. I think you'll see a little bit of Kyle in that lineup next year.
Listed actually as a wide receiver defensive back on our roster. And obviously he can take some snaps at quarterback too. Down to 2.5 minutes left, and they've just ground this out. This has been a 6-minute drive. It was over 8 minutes remaining when they took over after the interception, and they get another 2 or 3 yards and just decided that Francis Congelli was going down on that play one way or the other, and Kyle Andrews finally just threw him to the turf.
Kyle's played a nice ball game on both sides of the ball. He's done a good job on offense and an admirable job on defense. He's a man always around the football, and he's done a good job tonight.
Down to less than 2 minutes remaining. Ball on the 15, 2nd and 5, and it has just been an unrelenting wave down the field. Blue wave. This time, however, that wave is going to be put in reverse. We did see a penalty flag down, however. Let's take a look here while they determine the penalty call. As we see, it is a hold going against Brunswick. Here's a look at the bracket. You saw that Glen Oak team really looked outstanding against St. Francis last week. And, of course, Brunswick and Whitmer advanced to this game that we're watching now, the regional final.
Now, is that Niles McKinley or Canton McKinley? Do you know?
That would be Canton McKinley. It was the matchup. In fact, McKinley was a team that shut out that Glen Oak team earlier in the year. And with the offense that Glen Oak put up in that St. Francis game, we were Tom Cole and I were scratching our heads wondering how they were able to do that.
You know, some teams just match up against other teams, and regardless of talent, they just have their numbers, so to speak.
We were surmising that there wouldn't be a repeat performance of that. And once again, play goes nowhere.
And Brunswick is just running out the clock. They have a lot of clean jerseys in there. I think this is their whole second offensive unit, because I do believe the first team all came off at one time, and the second team went in, and the fans showed them their appreciation.
Yeah, they certainly don't appear intent on tacking more points up on the board. This could be the last play from scrimmage. Valier. And another carry for good measure. Down to the 32, and we're under a half a minute, and they should not have to snap the football again.
No, I think they'll just take the knee from here, and that'll be the ball game.
A very well-deserved victory for Brunswick, and they erased some painful memories. Heard their coach watch the videotape of a last-second field goal that cost them a game against St. John's in the second round of the playoffs last year 150 times. And he might watch the tape of this game even more.
Yes, he might.
And I think it would probably be a little more edifying for him to do that, as his team really performed well, and Coach Rich Nowak sees his Brunswick Blue Devils advance with a 28-7 win over the very game, but outmanned Whitmer Panthers tonight. Let's take a break. We'll start to wrap it up in a moment on BCSN. Here at Huron High School, and the last of the Toledo teams has been ousted from the playoffs, 28-7, and a very good win for the Brunswick Blue Devils over Whitmer, but it in no way detracts from the excellent season that Whitmer had to get to this point.
That's certainly for true. You know, the interesting thing about it is, in the playoffs, only one team ends up with a win, and the other 7 that make the playoffs, they end up with a loss, and it kind of leaves a bad taste in your mouth right away. But after you think about it a little bit and let it sink in, you got to be very proud, and Whitmer should be very proud of their ball club. They did a great job this season.
Well, I think as we pointed out on several occasions, there were some bright spots for Whitmer, particularly with their defense, where they really did the things that normally, if a team is getting beaten soundly in a playoff game, you don't expect them to be doing, like putting so much pressure on the quarterback, controlling the line of scrimmage, and containing the running game the way they were doing. But it just came down to those third down conversions. And then, of course, the other side of the coin was just simply that Whitmer, despite the fact that they have a very multi-talented offense, they were not able to move the football. We mentioned in the pregame that was the big thing that the Brunswick team wanted to do to contain that, and they certainly did.
They did, and I guess the word is convincing. It was certainly a convincing win tonight for the Brunswick Blue Devils. I wish them luck on the way. We wish we could be covering Whitmer, but we wish them luck the rest of the way.
Yeah, now as far as that Brunswick team is concerned, I think that some of the other teams that we saw last week, that Glen Oak team and the win over St. Francis, Tom Cole and I were extremely impressed with what they showed. I think this Brunswick team is a team that they played well, but I'm not sure how dominant a team they are, but just a good, sound football team.
And that's what you need, though. You play consistent football, and that's going to carry you a long way, and they did tonight.
All right, well, their season continues. Whitmer's ends, but certainly congratulations to Dan Fote and the gang of Whitmer Panthers. Thanks to our crew. For Chuck Buckenmeyer, Greg Franke saying so long from Huron High School.